experience you can trust, results you can count on.
AutoNation's New Year, New Wheels event is going on now. Drive any new or used vehicles 0 down and 0 payments for 90 days. Save thousands on your favorite cars, trucks, and SUVs. Plus, we'll buy your car for top dollar today. Don't miss 0 down and 0 payments for 90 days. Hurry to your nearest AutoNation store or AutoNation.com. On select models with approved credit, interest accrues from date of purchase. See store for details, subject to in-store verification.
Brandon Stokely here for Colorado's hometown HVAC team, ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Is your heating system struggling to perform and need to be traded? It has never been easier to get a quote for a new heating system. Rocks Heating and Air offers a free online heating and cooling quoting system so that you can quickly and accurately get pricing on a new system. Only at ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Now play that jingle.
HVAC service, installation, repair. ROX Rocks Heating and Air.
Buy more, save more during Furniture Row's fantastic 4-day sale Friday through Monday. Save $100 for every $1,000 you spend. Plus 60 months, no interest financing, no down payment. Shop now at FurnitureRow.com.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan. Welcome to Denver Sports Tonight, taking a look at the biggest stories in Denver sports. From your online home for the best opinions and information on the Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies, and more. DenverSports.com.
On it is Denver Sports Tonight on this Wednesday night in the Mile High City. He's Dante Gomez. I'm Will Peterson. We will roll with you for the next hour. A lot to dive into. The men's hockey in the Olympics got going today. Got to see Arturi Lehkonen play for Team Finland. And, of course, the captain, Gabriel Landeskog, for Team Sweden. Back out there. First competitive hockey since January 4th. He scored. We will dive into that. That was exciting. But, Dante, I want to begin with it's silly season in the NFL, bro. People are looking for manufactured drama. And, oh, baby, Courtland Sutton has not done anything wrong, but he has created some drama that, again, is of no one's doing but aggregators on social media. So he posted a video 23 hours ago with a bunch of highlights from this season. Chapter closed with a prayer emoji. Chapter closed, right? This season is closed. The Super Bowl is over. Broncos had a great chance to win it. Cortland's closing the chapter on this season. And all these aggregator accounts, it was all over my social media feed today. Courtland Sutton wants out. Courtland Sutton wants to get traded. Does Courtland Sutton want to leave the Broncos? And it's like, because he posted chapter closed with highlights? I don't know how much you've seen of this or plugged into this, but it just cracks me up because Courtland has since clarified in the last few minutes. I'll get to that. But it just cracks me up how many people are just looking for drama. It's not like the Broncos went 5-12 and Courtland's unhappy. He just signed a lucrative extension last summer. I'm sure he wants to finish his career with the Broncos.
Yeah, and it's exactly what you said of people are looking for drama here. And the ironic part is there was some drama to do with the Broncos just a week ago with Sean Payton and Bo Nix kind of going back and forth through the media and their press conferences. This, to me, is a nothing story. Maybe if he said book closed, but chapter entails that there's a next chapter, and it's going to be the next season here in Denver. So to me, it's nothing to see here. People are just trying to manufacture stuff.
Yeah, so Courtland, within the last hour, has posted a picture of his dog. Cute dog. I'll show it to you. I don't know how well you can see it, but what kind of dog does Courtland Sutton have? Can you tell from that picture?
I can't. I'm terrible with dog breeds in general.
But it's like one of those pictures where the nose of the dog is like halfway in the camera. Clearly the dog was sniffing the phone or whatever, and he took the photo. And Courtland writes, I was obviously talking about Chapter 8, meaning his 8th season in the NFL. He was closing that chapter. The fact he even has to clarify it is kind of ridiculous. But for anyone out there who saw a tweet or a Facebook post or whatever today going, oh, is there a problem with Courtland Sutton? There's no problem, and he and his pup have since said he was obviously talking about Chapter 8.
Yeah, again, there's nothing to see here. I don't even know what he would be asking out for. He just got the contract, which you mentioned. Broncos had the best season since he's been here in Denver. to leave now makes absolutely zero sense. For him to want to leave makes even less sense. So I don't know how people, I guess you could say people see what they want to see, but I don't get how you could possibly see that from that post.
Yeah, from chapter closed. He was just closing the chapter on this season. Speaking of Instagram, that actually is an interesting segue into something else I wanted to get with you tonight, so we'll just do it now. J.L. Skinner announced surgery on Instagram, torn labrum. Only played 34 defensive snaps for the Broncos this year, but was very good on special teams. You know, Devon Key got all the highlights on special teams and accolades, and rightfully so. I mean, Devon Key was a monster. But J.L. Skinner, very solid special teams player for Darren Rizzi. He announces that he played all of last year with a torn labrum, and he got surgery for that today. Posted the old hospital picture. We're wishing him the best. Looks like torn labrum recoveries are 4 to 6 months. So obviously training camp is the goal for J.L. Skinner at this point. Wouldn't expect to see him in OTAs, that kind of stuff. I'm not a doctor, but just guessing that this is a pretty significant surgery that Skinner's undergone. Obviously the Broncos want him back, and 6th-round pick out of Boise State, doing exactly what they expected, playing really well on special teams, spot duty at safety. But I got to get your opinion on all these players announcing their surgeries, because this is the third Bronco in the last week who has announced a surgery. You got Nick Bonito posted on Instagram with the wrist. You got Jahdae Barron posted on Instagram from the hospital. And now you've got J.L. Skinner. We wouldn't know about any of these three routine, cleanup, off-season surgeries unless these guys announced it. From a media standpoint, I appreciate it. We like to know what's going on with our Broncos. But from a personal standpoint, what is the gain of putting these things on Instagram?
I know, and unprompted, too. It's not like they're in a press conference being asked, oh, did you have surgery? Are you going to have surgery? It's not their agent putting out the news that they had surgery, and maybe they want to control the narrative of the surgery, which that would make sense as well. But these guys going out on their own and to decide to post their surgeries. Maybe they're looking for sympathy from Broncos country. Maybe they're looking for sympathy for some ladies out there that show them some love. And I don't know what it is. I think it's just them being young and wanting to share their life with everybody else. But I think this is one area that you probably don't want to go out there and share with everybody else. Maybe this is one where you can keep it a little more private to you and your immediate family and your team that works on your career.
Yeah, I can't imagine that George Payton and Sean Payton are real thrilled about this. They don't want people knowing that Barron, Bonito, and Skinner, 3 defensive players, obviously one extremely key, nominated for Defensive Player of the Year, Nick Bonito. One, you spent a first-round draft pick on in Barron, and you're very excited about his future, even if a guy like Jaquan McMillan took a lot of his snaps. And then a guy like Skinner, who's just a nice core player, always going to have a roster spot on this team because of what he can do on special teams. It's just 3 guys that it's like, what are we doing, fellas? They may need to send a little team-wide email on this one. Hey, glad you're getting surgery. Glad you're getting cleaned up. Keep that to friends and family. You don't need to announce it to your tens of thousands of followers on social media.
Yeah, just completely unnecessary. No one's asking for you to post this. And like I said, I think it's just them being young and wanting to post their day-to-day life and maybe looking for a little sympathy along the way as well.
Yeah, maybe looking for someone to slide into those DMs.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe a little swipe up on the story. Like, oh, so sorry to hear you had surgery.
You never know. All right, just wanted to get those 2 things out of the way. Oh, social media, always throwing us curveballs. But it is mock draft season, Dante, and Field Yates from ESPN came out with his mock early this morning. Hadn't done one since week 14, which to me, in-season mocks are always a little goofy. You don't really know the needs for teams. You certainly don't know the draft order. You have a general idea, but it doesn't get settled till the end of the year. So I look at this as Field Yates' first mock draft. Obviously, everyone knows Mel Kiper, and rightfully so. Mel's a legend in this business, and when he drops his first mock, you can bet we'll be talking about it. But Field Yates isn't far behind in terms of credibility, research, homework, work ethic, all those things. So I do pay a lot of attention when a guy like Field Yates comes out with his mock draft, and it's kind of fun. You have to scroll all the way down to number 30 to find the Broncos. Of course, we all wish we were scrolling to 32, but 30, if I had told you that 6 months ago, you'd say, whoa. They had a good year if they are picking 30, obviously made the AFC title game. So he's got them taking Kenyon Sadiq, a tight end out of Oregon. You're a huge college football fan. I know you've seen Sadiq play a bunch. What do you make of not only the selection, but the position as well? Field Yates projecting the Broncos to go tight end.
I love it on both parts, the individual and the position group that they're addressing. I think it was just last week we were talking about positions that the Broncos need to address, and that running back or tight end, specifically tight end, would be a great first-round pick. They're young, they're athletic still, and not that older players can't be athletic, but they're the new legs on them, so fresh legs on them. And Bo Nix is obviously young, and it could be a part of this young core that the Broncos seem to be building here. So I love the pick. He's physical at the line of scrimmage. He can block a little bit. He's athletic and fast and can do all that. Catch great ball skills in terms of catching the ball as well, out wide open or out on when he's wide out as well. So he kind of brings a little bit of everything, and he's been mocked as a first-round draft pick for a while now. So there's a lot of hype behind him. He sat behind Terrence Ferguson, and Ferguson had a great year with the Rams this year. Maybe not statistically, but he's a big part of what they do with Matthew Stafford. So paid his dues sitting behind him and went out and had a great year this year. Oregon traditionally has a lot of 5-star, 4-star guys that get there, so he's gonna fit the bill athletically as well, and he seems like a very hard worker and just a physical specimen. So I think it's a home run pick.
Yeah, I would love it too. I would be very excited if the Broncos take either a tight end, running back, or wide receiver in round one. To me, those are the three positions that they need to address, and they need to make this offense more explosive, and they need to provide more weapons for Bo Nix. So I would love if it's Sadiq, and I thought this was a key sentence from Field Yates. I wrote about this at DenverSports.com this afternoon. He says, quote, Sadiq's range surely starts sooner than here, as this would be great value for a Broncos team with limited needs. Sean Payton has long valued a player who can be their joker, a player who is either a top-end receiving back or mismatched tight end. Now, if you're in Nashville or Miami or Jacksonville or San Francisco and you're reading about jokers, you're going, oh, what's a joker? We in Denver obviously know the joker because it dominated the conversation last offseason of what Sean is looking for in this joker. I think wasn't it George Payton who said, like, if I have to hear about the damn joker one more time, like yes. the GM had a good quote about it. So we all know what the joker is, but here's where it gets really interesting to me, Dante. Evan Ingram was supposed to be that joker for Sean Payton in 2025, but it obviously didn't really work out. I mean, he played in 16 of 17 games, never seemed to make game-breaking plays, 50 catches, 461 yards, and just one touchdown. Only one touchdown for Evan Ingram in orange and blue. 2 playoff games, including one against the Buffalo Bills where you scored 33 points. 2 playoff games. He added 3 catches for 26 yards. Just a ghost in those playoffs. Now, he's likely to be back on the Broncos next season, as cutting him would trigger about $10 million in dead cap space. So surely tight end is a position of need, even though Ingram will probably be on the team. I mean, love to trade the guy if you can, but who's taking on that deal? I mean, if someone would take Evan Ingram for a 7th-round draft pick and just eat the money, sign me up, I'd do it. But I don't think any GM is going to take on that kind of salary cap hit. Long story short, I think Ingram's going to be on the team. He was supposed to be the joker. Do you think that, like Field Yates hints at here, that Sadiq can be the joker for the Broncos as soon as next season?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it could be a perfect duo between those two. You add Ingram and you add Sadiq, who's obviously a much younger version of him and a little more athletic than him, but I think you can kind of groom Sadiq under Ingram for a season, and maybe they split the role next year, and then the following year it's all Kenyon Sadiq going forward. So I don't imagine anyone's going to want to take Evan Ingram off the Broncos books. So I think Ingram, I'm with you on that. Most likely he's going to be a member of the Denver Broncos next year. So I think it would be a perfect tight end room if you start out with Ingram and Sadiq there, and then you can add maybe more of a road grader and more of a physical tight end as well to that room. But if anything, I think the Broncos should be looking to trade up in the draft to make sure they can get this guy, because I wouldn't be surprised if he's picked around where the Broncos were picking last year, around 20, 22, somewhere in there. So maybe you have to move up 10 slots or so, maybe a little bit less than that. But I think he would be a fantastic fit here. And if I'm Sean Payton and George Payton, I would want to make sure that you get your guy. And Sadiq, to me, would be their guy. He fit that joker role.
And you're right, because Field did mention in his mock draft, Sadiq's range surely starts sooner than here, meaning, wouldn't shock anyone if he goes 18th or something like that. Is he going to be a top 10 pick? Probably not. but could he go in the very low teens, high teens, however you want to phrase it, or early 20s? Absolutely. Some stats on him last year: 51 passes caught, 560 yards, 8 touchdowns. You mentioned Terrence Ferguson. He slotted in real well. Oregon went all the way to the national semifinals before losing to Indiana. And I thought this was curious too. When you think of Oregon, you think of high-powered offense, which they are. His catches, 51, and yards, 560, were both team highs for the Oregon Ducks this year. He's not only a good blocker, but he's such a good receiving tight end. He outpaced all their wide receivers to lead the team in catches and yards. That's not doing that at, I'm not going to throw a stray, but that's not doing it at Southeastern Directional School. That's doing it at Oregon. Pretty impressive for Sadiq.
Yeah, Oregon's a big boy school, and traditionally you think of the college football powers to be the SEC, which for the most part has been that way, but the Big Ten, I believe they won the last 3 national titles between Michigan, Ohio State, and Indiana now. So the Big Ten's kind of taken that crown as the best conference in college football. And like I said, Oregon recruits phenomenally. They're going to get 4- and 5-star guys. They're going to develop their guys. They have the best weight training facilities in the country, at least for college football. So they develop their guys pretty well, and we've seen a lot of Oregon guys come out of there and be very successful in the NFL. So I would have 0 question marks about him. As long as he passes Sean Payton's eye test, I would be full in on Kenyon Sadiq.
Yeah, good to have that Phil Knight money behind you, right?
Exactly,
And
yeah.
Nike money up there at Oregon. They certainly do have the best facilities. The 0538 on the RamosLaw.com text line, 303-713-1043, says, best player available at a position of need. Their needs are inside linebacker, tight end, running back, maybe safety, and or defensive line. How do you feel about the whole BPA thing? Because I think last year, and BPA, best player available, they did do that, and Jahdae Barron wasn't on anyone's radar. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and fib. We didn't talk about Jahdae Barron. We did tons and tons of mock drafts. We had 10 to 12 guys that we dissected over and over and over again. And then when the Barron pick came down, we're like, who? What? I mean, we knew him because he had taken the Thorpe Award, and obviously we wanted Travis Hunter, who wasn't even nominated, I believe, and Deion Sanders was super upset about that, and obviously rightfully so. But we didn't know Jahdae Barron. That was BPA, best player available. So this texter, likes the BPA. And when you're an AFC title team, I get it. You're already pretty stacked across the board. Maybe you just do take the best position or best player available, regardless of the position. I think they need offensive skill guys, man. I'm not going to be a fan of that. If the pick comes in and it's a safety, I'm not going to be excited. I want a tight end, a running back, or a wide receiver.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and it obviously varies depending on what they do in free agency, because free agency will come ahead of the draft. So if they address tight end and running back and wide receiver prior to that, then maybe we can have a different conversation. But to me, you have very little holes on this roster. Go out and fix them. What's holding you back from doing that? If there's a guy like Sadiq there sitting at 30, go out and draft him. Fix the tight end room. Fix the tight end room for the next 5 to 10 years if you draft a guy like that. So I say, I'm never going to totally dismiss BPA, best player available, but maybe best player available within reason if there's 4 positions you want to open it up to. But to me, I would be hunting for this guy. Maybe if there's a wide receiver you absolutely love, but typically wide receivers go fairly early in the first round, especially the last decade or so. We've seen those guys creep up earlier and earlier into the draft where there's a lot of top 10 picks, a lot of top 20 picks used on wide receivers. So I don't necessarily think you're going to be getting the best player at that position if it's a wide receiver, if you're taking them at 30, where I think Sadiq could be the best tight end in this draft class. So I wouldn't mind going there. Inside linebacker as well, you don't typically see them be first-round draft picks in general unless they're complete game changers, which I've seen the Texas Tech kid, Jacob Rodriguez, who was an incredible, almost became a Heisman finalist this last year. I think he was mocked at the 60th pick, or maybe it was something around like late second round pick where he was the best player in the country at that position. So I think inside linebacker, you don't have to reach for in the first round. A tight end, though, I think that's a game changer that is on a lot of people's radars, and I would go out and get him at 30 or maybe even trade up for it. What about you? Would you be upset if they went out and grabbed a D lineman maybe at 30?
Yeah, I would. And it's not because I don't think D linemen can help. D linemen are obviously important. You got to be able to stuff the run, right? Got big, fat fat guys in the middle for a reason. We think of Terrence Knighton, the pot roast, who was a key piece, not on the Super Bowl 50 defense, but on the Super Bowl 48 defense. You need those guys, but maybe come July or August, I'd be okay with it. But draft night, man, give me some spice, give me something exciting, give me something fun. I'm not saying the Broncos are playing fantasy football, but the reality is they're kind of the weakest in my eyes at fantasy football-esque positions. I just think the fan base, the Barron pick was so blah that I think the fan base is hoping for a little excitement this year, and I think Sadiq would provide that excitement.
I think it's a fair point of view to have on it. Would you have a different thought process on this if Barron had gone out and been a starter for this Broncos defense all year? Or are you still kind of jaded from the fact that they went best player available and they didn't really have a need for him because Jaquan McMillan went out and had a fantastic year, so he spent Jahdae Barron, that is, spent most of the year on the sideline. Does that factor into your decision there or your mindset as well?
Yeah, I think, no one was super excited about the pick at the time, and then he didn't really give us much of a reason to be excited about it throughout the year. So I think it's sort of twofold that, if Jahdae Barron had gone out and started or gone out and taken Riley Moss's job or something like that, played outside and had 3 or 4 picks, we'd be like, woohoo, they hit a home run. But I'm saying draft night, there wasn't a lot of excitement. And let's be honest, 10 months later, there's still not a lot of excitement. There's potential. No one's given up on him. I'm not calling him a bust. I want to see what he can do. I'm going to give him a couple years. But I don't sit here today and think of the top 20 most important Broncos. Jahdae Barron probably doesn't crack my list. And that's not good for a first-round pick to not be in the 20 most important Broncos.
No, you want your first-round pick to go in and make an impact on this team. And if you go best player available, this roster is so loaded already that he might be sitting behind guys, kind of like what we just saw Jahdae Barron and Jaquan McMillan do. So I think through this conversation, you've convinced me. No best player available. Go out and take a player. Maybe limit to that's at 3 positions: tight end, running back, inside linebacker. But even that position feels like a reach to take at 30.
Yeah, you're right. Those inside linebackers, you feel like you can get good quality players in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. Mike chimes in and says Cecil's been pounding the table for a month for this guy. Yeah, Cecil has, and I give Cecil a lot of credit because Cecil's a great draft expert. He's awesome at it. He puts in the work. He does his due diligence, and he identified Kenyon Sadiq long before this mock draft from Field Yates came out today. But just sort of validation for Cecil that Sadiq to the Broncos is maybe has a little bit of steam behind it. A lot of folks chiming in too, talking about our Instagram surgery conversation. My favorite one was from the 6116. Maybe they don't want Sean to leak it, so they leak it themselves. Well played, texter. This was in reference to our conversation about Jahdae Barron, Nick Bonito, and now J.L. Skinner all announcing their surgeries on Instagram. All right, so with this mock draft too, obviously Fernando Mendoza is going 1 to the Raiders. You got Arvell Reese, the edge from Ohio State, going 2 to the Jets. The OT offensive tackle from Miami, Francis Miyagi. I may not have said that correctly. David Bailey, the edge from Texas Tech, going 4 to the Titans. And Caleb Downs, the safety from Ohio State, going 5 to the Giants. The first wide receiver off the board, to your point, is Carnell Tate, going 7 to the Washington Commanders. Obviously, if you watch college football, you know who Carnell Tate is. You mentioned trading up to the low 20s to maybe go get a tight end like Sadiq. What about making the big splash and going way up the board to take a guy like Carnell Tate, maybe even getting into the top 10? Because it's going to cost a lot.
It is. And if you're going to get a guy like Carnell Tate, or if you're going to get a guy like Jordan Tyson, probably going to have to pick before pick 15. Not that I know exactly who's picking 15 right now in my head, but both those guys projected to be in that top 10, top 12 range.
Yeah, just for reference, he's got Tyson at 8 to the Saints.
Okay, so it's right after. Okay.
Tate at 7 to the Commanders and Tyson at 8 to the Saints.
So those are the 2 guys that are supposed to be real difference makers at the wide receiver position, and from the eye test of Dante Gomez here, they are going to be difference makers in the NFL. Both guys are NFL ready to go, and if you're going to trade up for a wide receiver, take the big swing. Trade up to a top 10 pick like that. I don't love if they're going to trade up to 15 to take a wide receiver, if they're going to trade up to 20 to take a wide receiver, because you want to take, these are first-round draft picks. You want to take who you think will be the best player at that position in the draft. If you're going to trade up, go for a big swing, get one of those guys. I wouldn't love it. I think that this team is too well-rounded at the moment that I wouldn't love to give up future first-round picks potentially for that kind of trade, which you'd probably have to do, maybe 1 or 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, certainly to get from 30 to 9, you'd probably have to give up a couple. At least one future first, obviously this year's first, and then maybe a future second or a third, something like that.
Exactly. And if we're talking about picks 6, 7, or 8, then you're definitely going to have to give up a lot of draft capital for that. I just think that George Payton and Sean Payton have drafted pretty well for the most part. I know Jahdae Barron was a miss, but other than that, RJ Harvey came in last year and was a difference maker. He wasn't blowing the world away. Bo Nix came in, was a difference maker in year 1. We've seen throughout the drafts that both these guys seem to be able to hit on most of their draft picks. I'd rather give them more darts at the board than trade up for a 6th, 7th, 8th pick in the draft. If you were going to do that, I think they should have done that last year when you could have gone Ashton Genty to add to this running back room, when you could have got Colston Loveland to add to the tight end room. I just don't think that you're getting a Genty or a Colston Loveland in this draft necessarily. I like Kenyon Sadiq at tight end, but there's a reason that he's not being talked about the way Colston Loveland was talked about last year.
Or my guy Tyler Warren too, right?
Yeah,
who obviously had a great year
too.
in Indy. Some other receivers, he's got Mekhi Lemon going 14 to the Baltimore Ravens out of USC. And he also has, there was one more on here, Denzel Boston going 24 to the Cleveland Browns, the wide receiver out of Washington. Casey Concepcion, did I say that right?
I think you did.
From Texas A&M, the wide receiver going 27 to the Niners. So that makes 5. Count them 5 first-round wide receivers in this mock draft from Field Yates. Just to play a little devil's advocate, you said, if you really want to get the guy, you got to get top 10. Well, remember the very famous Justin Jefferson draft where guys like Jerry Jeudy went ahead of Justin Jefferson. Henry Ruggs, who was obviously involved in tragedy, went ahead of Justin Jefferson. So there is a recent example where just because the wide receiver goes off the board first doesn't mean he's the best.
No, that's true. And you could even point to Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors. I believe they went back-to-back picks that year. Cardinals taking Marvin Harrison Jr., the Giants taking Malik Neighbors. And Malik Neighbors seems to be the better pick out of the two through the first 2 seasons here. He has a torn ACL, so we'll see how he bounces back from that. But I think it's fair to criticize the Cardinals for the move they made. So it's not a perfect science. That's why, obviously, I would love to have George Payton and Sean Payton's vote of approval on whoever they're drafting, but I still think that if you're going for a wide receiver, swing big. You don't want one of these middle-of-the-road wide receivers if you're going to use the first-round pick and future draft capital on this guy.
Yeah, well, really interesting. You can go read about it at DenverSports.com or ESPN.com. Field Yates' first mock draft of the year. All right, coming up next, football season is behind us. It's officially go time for the Nuggets and the Avalanche. If we don't get one parade this summer, is that a bust? Dante Gomez and I will debate.
Do the Broncos need a complete overhaul in the tight end room?
And what do we think we're going to do with Ingram here? I wouldn't be upset if we just did the same thing with the tight end room that we did with the running back room. Now, we're not going to move everyone, but you can't bring back Adam Troutman. I'm done with that. It's over with.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Hi, Dan Cicchini with Dunright. Great pricing options and bank financing? You bet. Kitchens, baths, counters, and floors. Finished basements, windows, and doors. Done right since 1985. You have our word, we'll treat you right at Done Right. Visit drhi.com. Thanks.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Welcome to guided meditation. Close your eyes. You're at the beach. The seagulls are calling. You take out your iPhone 16e you got from Cricket and use Apple Intelligence to clean up that selfie you just took. It's a good one. You send it to your friends instantly thanks to reliable nationwide 5G. They're totally jealous. Get iPhone 16e for $49.99 when you switch. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Requires new line on the Supreme Unlimited plan. First service charge and tax due at sale. $25 activation fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. See store for details.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. HelloFresh makes home cooking nutritious, delicious, and exciting. You excited when you get those freezer-burnt, pre-packaged meals in the mail? I know I'm not. Go to HelloFresh.com to explore plans and menus because nothing hits like home cooking.
Jane Dawson did something smart. She saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. With the money she saved, she got herself a pricey bird feeder with an ultra-high-def camera. Should Jane have just bought a regular bird feeder? Yes. Is it hard for her to admire nature when the camera doubles as the bird's potty? Also, yes. But it's Jane's savings, and if she wants to spend her time watching the digestive habits of the white-breasted nuthatch, we say you go, girl. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
You can swirl it, you can sip it, but the best way is to share it. Hey y'all, I'm Deanna, a team member at my local Chick-fil-A. And a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich and new frosted sodas and floats is how well they go together. You get that bold flavor of the Coke mixed with the smooth deliciousness of the vanilla ice cream. You have a juicy filet and a smooth, creamy float. It's an awesome pairing.
Order a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich and a new frosted soda and float at your local Chick-fil-A restaurant. Real team member paid for their testimonial.
Hey, Mom. It's me. Oh my gosh, you'll never believe what I just opened for Valentine's Day. A sapphire ring from Hellsberg. Just like the one I lost years ago. Remember how excited I was when you gave it to me? I cannot believe you remembered that story. I guess you were right. I really found the one.
This Valentine's Day, create a moment that means something with up to 40% off gifts at Hellsberg. Shop in store or at Hellsberg.com.
Your heat seems to be running a lot more than it should. Why? You might be surprised to learn it's because the insulation in your windows has failed. When that happens, your heat leaks out and the cold gets in. Talk to the pros at Window Nation and get new windows with big savings during Window Nation's Buy 4 Windows, Get 4 free sale. Plus, you could get them with 0 down, 0 monthly payments, and 0 interest for 2 years. And ask how you could get a pair of Icon Pass 2-day sessions. Don't wait to put an end to your window problems. Schedule a quote now at windownation.com.
Women go through many changes in their lives. And we believe each milestone matters. That every new candle represents another step in your story. Our healthcare experts support women at every stage of life. Because each chapter deserves to be celebrated. Women's health. Nurture what's next. Find care near you at mountain.commonspirit.org. Common Spirit Health. Human kindness lives here.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan.
A lot of good reaction to this mock draft conversation on the RamosLaw.com text line 303-713-1043. Can't get to them all on air. Promise I do read them all, but I thought this from the 6261 was interesting. Guys, what are you telling the rest of the wide receiver room if you try to make a big splash to move up and take that level of wide receiver? What do you think the rest of the guys in the room would feel about that? Yeah, I mean, you're right. You've invested heavily in that position. I mean, think about what they've done in the last 3 drafts. You've gotten Marvin Mims. You've gotten Troy Franklin. You've gotten Pat Bryant. You've paid Cortland Sutton. I say wide receiver because I still think it needs to be improved. But you've spent on that. You've drafted in that room. It would be very interesting to be hanging out with Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin, or Marvin Mims if they made a big splash up to go get a wide receiver. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, I don't care what they think. If I'm the Broncos and I'm Sean Payton or I'm George Payton, I'm there to build a winner, and I don't care about your feelings. If you guys put up better numbers, then maybe we wouldn't have to address the wide receiver room. We had Terrell Davis, not on the show, but there was a clip of him from the Super Bowl talking about the running back room, but it was more about, hey, we don't have time to wait for these guys to develop. Get as many great players in that room as possible and load it up with competition, and that's the way that you're going to get the most out of that room. I think the same thing about the wide receiver. I'm not going to wait for these guys to develop necessarily. If they go out and have great years and put up production, fantastic, but I'm not concerned with their feelings.
Yeah, no, we're worried about winning a Super Bowl, not about feelings, that's for sure. The 9486, if you're moving up, that big move up is to get Jeremiah Love, not a wide receiver. Good text here. Jeremiah Love's a stud. If you watched any Notre Dame football, it felt like every time he looked up, guy was rumbling for a 60-plus yard touchdown. Field Yates' mock draft has him going 9 to the Kansas City Chiefs, which obviously would be devastating for the Broncos. The last thing we need is them to get another weapon like Jeremiah Love as they try to get back on track, and Mahomes tries to have a second act here in his GOAT case. I'd love, no pun intended, Jeremiah Love in a Broncos uniform, Dante, but not sure how realistic that is if you would have to get in the top 10. Sort of like the conversation we just had. It would cost an awful lot.
It would definitely cost a lot, but Jeremiah Love might be one of those guys. He might be that Saquon Barkley that steps onto the field immediately in his rookie year and is making a big impact for the whatever team gets him. So I think Jeremiah Love's going to be fantastic. I think you can put him up with that Ashton Genty conversation, maybe even better than Ashton Genty was as a prospect coming out. He looks like he's ready to step right in and make an impact, and he's just a physical monster. Went to Notre Dame, obviously a very smart kid as well. So I think very highly of Jeremiah Love and would love him to be here in Denver.
All right, I would too, but if he's not going to be a Bronco, please don't be a Chief. Let's put it that way. Okay, I want to pay off the tease because it's go time for the Nuggets and Avs with football season behind us. They're up. The dream for 3 parades in the Mile High City obviously died when Bo Nix broke his ankle against the Buffalo Bills. That was the best case scenario, 3 gatherings in downtown Denver over the next 6 months. Instead, Seattle hosted their parade today while Broncos country, sure, I wasn't the only one, kind of wondered what could have been, what my day would have looked like being at a parade. Would have been a lot of fun. But it's not all bad news, as both the Avs and Nuggets are capable of winning championships this year. Obviously, the Nuggets are limping towards the All-Star break. Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown, Cam Johnson, Peyton Watson, and Jonas Valanciunas have all missed at least 5 games. That's basically a postseason rotation for David Adelman, along with the likes of Tim Hardaway Jr. and Bruce Brown. Of course, it's not their fault, but let's hope the injury bug is out of the way by April, because we all know the Nuggets squandered golden opportunities to win titles each of the last 2 years. The heartbreaking Game 7 loss to the Timberwolves when they were trying to go back-to-back, plus another Game 7 defeat at the hands of the eventual champion Thunder last year. They're only going to get so many cracks at this thing, and Jokic's prime. 2023 was awesome. First ever NBA Finals win, but it's time to do it again. Almost all the greats in league history have at least 2 rings, and I'm ready for Nikola Jokic to get his second. He's the best player on earth, and this version of the Nuggets, when healthy, in my eyes, Dante, is the most elite roster they've had since hoisting the Larry O'Brien Trophy a handful of summers ago. The next 2 months are about getting every key player feeling right, then being all in for the playoffs. We'll get to the Avs in a second, but let's start with the Nuggets. Championship or bust. You with me or not?
Oh, completely agree. That go out and get it this year. And you mentioned Nikola Jokic is the best player on the planet at basketball. And I'm not trying to be doomsday or glass half empty guy here, but I don't know how many more years you're going to be able to say that sentence. 1, because he's getting a little bit older, and 2, you got a guy down in San Antonio, Victor Wembanyama, who's playing incredible basketball. The Spurs are playing good basketball in general, winning a lot of games down there. So I think you got to strike while the iron's hot, and the iron's certainly hot right now as far as Jokic goes, and as far as the depth of the roster. You went out and made the necessary moves you had to in the offseason. You added depth. You added to the starting rotation. And you also were able to develop some of these guys. Peyton Watson, what a pleasant surprise he's been this year. And so I just think that you got to go out and do it right now, because you don't know how much longer Jokic, you're going to be able to say the sentence, Jokic is the best player in the world.
Yeah, and if the Broncos window is just opening, the Nuggets window may be just starting to close. No one's saying it's closed by any stretch of the imagination. They'll be contenders the next 3, 4, 5 years, but it may be on the back half. And you really want Jokic to get that second ring. So we're on the same page there. In the Avalanche's case, they've clearly established they're the top team in the NHL at the Olympic break. I mean, we won't get to see them back in action for a couple of weeks, but watching these guys in the Olympics is going to be a treat, and it was today, and we're going to get to that a little later in the show. At least one player should come home with a gold medal, if not multiple guys. But regardless of what happens in the Olympics, it's Stanley Cup or bust when the NHL returns at the end of the month, because there are zero excuses to not win the whole thing. And if they fall short, fans don't even want to think about the changes that could be coming. Fair or not, head coach Jared Bednar and or GM Chris McFarland might be fired. The core could get blown up outside of McKinnon and Makar. It's a reality we don't want to live in if the Avs fail, and I think the good thing is the players know that. I mean, they've won a single playoff series since lifting the cup in 2022. 2 first-round exits, 1 second-round exit over the last 3 years. That's not good enough. And everyone in that building is aware. Yeah, it creates pressure, of course, but the best athletes thrive under that pressure, and it's time for the superstars to do it again this postseason. I feel like there's no controversy to cup or bust, so I'm not going to get your thoughts on that because I know you agree, but I do want to get your thoughts on the consequences that could come if they fall short in regards to the core, Bednar, and McFarland.
Yeah, if the Nuggets are a DEFCON 3, the Avs are DEFCON 1, which as far as the DEFCON scale goes, 1 is the most serious.
Yes.
So I think absolutely it's in bounds for people could lose their jobs if it doesn't end up in a title, or at least appearing in a title, a Stanley Cup final there. So obviously you want to leave a little wiggle room here open for it can't just be if they don't win it all, everyone's fired. I think it depends how it looks out there. If maybe there's some freak injury. Maybe McKinnon goes down. Then that could change some things. Or Makar goes down. Maybe that changes things as well. So I think if everyone's healthy out there, though, I would expect people to lose their jobs if they are not appearing in the Stanley Cup final because, like you said, they are the best team in hockey. There's no debate about that. And you have one of, if not the best player in the world. Take advantage of that. Take advantage of the excellent roster that you've created around him. Take advantage of the gap they have as far as points go ahead of them. You can rest these guys a little bit. Obviously, you want to make sure you secure that 1 seed and you're hosting every single game 1 and 2 of the NHL playoffs, but you have a little bit of wiggle room there where you can not play these guys as heavy of minutes going into the playoffs and make sure these guys are fresh.
Yeah, and I've been a staunch defender of Jared Bednar, never once called for his job. I really like Jared Bednar. I think he pushes all the right buttons. I think the players really enjoy him. But even if it's a first or second round exit, I don't know. It's just not a reality I want to live in. Even I could see myself saying, yeah, it's time. You got to make a change at the head coach. And I just hope that's not the case. I hope we're at another parade and Bedsy cries tears of joys and they gave me my first chance. I mean, it was an iconic moment. So let's just wrap on this real quick. Denver has to have at least one parade this summer. Anything else in my eyes would be a failure and leave fans wondering what in the world happened. The good news is the Nuggets and Avalanche are both more than equipped to reach the mountaintop. So, I mean, strap in. The next 4.5 months will hopefully be an unforgettable sports journey for fans here in Colorado and the Rocky Mountain region. But what do you make of, we got to get one. We thought the Broncos could get us one. That came up short. We had some fun, 3 parades. Well, it's not going to be 3. Most we could have now is 2. But don't you think we got to get one? We got to be at 1 parade this summer.
I mean, I would even narrow it down to the Avalanche have to win. You're saying 1 out of the 2? No. The Avalanche have to win, and it's just icing on the cake if the Nuggets are able to go out and win too. So I would put the parade line at 1.5 at this point. I think you have to get the Avs 1, and the Nuggets would be great, and I think they have a good chance to do it, but that's a little bit more of a coin toss to me because of the competition that they're going against. The Spurs are looking pretty good this year. The Oklahoma City Thunder are looking really good again. So to me, it comes down to the teams that they're facing is a bigger challenge where the Avs are the cream of the crop. Go out and get it done.
Yeah, I just think for the mental sports health of Denver fans, we just need 1, and that sounds greedy because we've had 2 in the last 4 years between the Avs and Nuggets, and you'll remember from July of 2001 to January of 2016, we had 0 parades. 15 years. 0 parades. The Rockies actually got the closest in that 15-year stretch with Rocktober 07, but the Avs, of course, had a parade in June of 01, and then the Broncos in February of 2016. So I get it, but we got 3 major sports teams in this town, and then the Rockies. I'm expecting those 3 to keep giving us parades, and hopefully it's the Avs or Nuggets in June. All right, speaking of the Avs, Gabriel Landeskog made his return to the ice today in Sweden. It was good. We'll tell you what the captain did next.
Could major changes be on the horizon for the Colorado Avalanche?
If you do not make it past the second round, you have to either fire Jared Bednar and or break up this core. If you're not able to get out of the second round, you got to make massive changes.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Buddy Troy Hansford, if you're thinking about selling your house for any reason, now might be the time to sell, still get top dollar. Believe it or not, my guy Troy is still offering his $5,000 guarantee. What is it, you ask? Well, if he can't sell your house at your price on your timeline that you agree upon beforehand, bam, going to cut you a check for $5,000. Who else makes the offer? Nobody I've ever heard of. And he makes that offer because he continues to spend a ton of money marketing his listings, has about 100 families approved and ready to buy right now. And if for any reason you need to sell right away, Troy can buy your house, all cash, and he can close in as little as 7 days. You have a house to sell, Troy probably has that perfect buyer for you right now, waiting for you to pick up the phone and to call him. Call Troy, get your home sold for the most money. That's 720-900-4433, 720-900-4433. Troy Hansford of RE/MAX Professionals, a Colorado licensed broker. Some restrictions do apply. You want to sell your house? Then call my buddy Troy, 720-900-4433.
I wish I'd gotten treated for my erectile dysfunction sooner. Men, I hear this all the time from our patients. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and if ED is a problem in your life, resolve to get it treated today and stop having it affect you and the one you love. ED is simply a medical condition, and it's fully treatable. And at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, we have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases, which means if you're like most guys, your ED will be a thing of the past. In fact, you could be having great sex within a day or two of your first appointment, and you'll likely find you're performing like you haven't in a long time. It's the new year. Resolve to get your ED treated and change your life. Call us at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. We have 5 offices across the Front Range to serve you. Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, a Promenic restorative health practice.
A family office is a team built to handle the 3 biggest financial responsibilities a family faces: wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning. Most firms only manage your investments and refer the rest out, hoping everyone stays aligned. At Trajan, we built something different. Your wealth, tax planning, and estate planning are handled together inside one firm under one roof. There's no guessing whether your CPA, advisor, and estate attorney are truly in sync, because our team works together every day on your behalf. When your financial life becomes more complex, your advice should become more coordinated, not more fragmented. One plan, one trusted team. Call Trajan today, 720-204-8100. That's 720-204-8100.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Winter is in full swing, and Aleve is here to keep you moving. When the cold weather sets in, everyday aches and pains can linger, but Aleve's got your back. With up to 12 hours of body pain relief per dose, Aleve keeps you going with long-lasting body pain relief to get you through whatever the season brings. Chilly days or cozy nights, Aleve gives you that long-lasting body pain relief you can count on this winter. Try Aleve. Use as directed for minor aches and pains.
How do you stay humble when you're America's #1 wiper blade? That's what we're currently dealing with at Rain-X. Is it even possible to humble brag when you bully Mother Nature like we do? Do we sound too conceited if we keep repeating how Rain-X is the #1 brand of wiper blades in America? No. We'll take a lesson from our wipers and just keep doing our job with humility. As America's #1 wiper blade, Rain-X. Outsmart the elements.
Stay up to date on the Broncos and the latest news from around the league with our NFL insider James Palmer, exclusively on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Mondays on The Rundown with Richie Carney, Tuesday afternoons on The Drive, and Friday mornings on Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth, all season long. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan, DenverSports.com, and the Denver Sports app. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan presents Denver Sports Tonight.
All right, Colorado Avalanche captain Gabriel Landeskog is back. Landeskog played competitive hockey for the first time in more than a month today. Of course, it came for Team Sweden in the Olympics. It was great to see Landeskog after that scary injury he suffered on January 4th in Florida against the Panthers, crashing into the goalposts, needing help off the ice. But that's now a thing of the past, as not only did Landeskog suit up for Team Sweden today in their Olympic opener, he also scored a snipe of a power play goal. They were shockingly down 1-0 to Italy in the first period. Found the back of the net, Gabe did, from a pass by Rangers center Mika Zibanejad. I think I said that right. Team Sweden struggled with Team Italy, kind of shockingly, a little more than expected, but ultimately earned a victory by a final score of 5-2. Landeskog, 4 shots on goal, laid a big hit early, looked perfectly healthy. And remember, Jared Bednar stressed it was Gabe's decision to play in the Olympics. No one took it lightly. He's the captain for his country, just like with Colorado, and chasing a gold medal made sense for all parties involved. Dante, I know we were texting a little bit about this game. I was watching it. I was writing about it. I know you had some interest in it as well. Really good to see the captain make his return today about 5 weeks after the injury and score a goal.
Yeah. So happy for Landy. Great for him that he's able to suit up for his country, go out and score. I'm sure when he's sitting out of NHL hockey for that long window when he wasn't able to compete with the Avs, I'm sure on his mind as well was being able to suit up for his country and be able to represent Sweden. So really happy for him. And do you know what's very ironic about the goal that he scored, Will?
It was on the power play.
It was on the power play. Of course it was, right?
Right.
Just because the Avs been so bad on the power play, and somehow Gabe's able to do it for Sweden. So hopefully he can bring a little bit of that back to the Avs after the break.
Yeah, and we think of those power play goals from Gabe as sort of the grindy, gritty, you're not really sure how the puck ended up in the back of the net. I would encourage people to go watch that highlight of this goal. Now, it's kind of hard to find because there's so many rights restrictions and all that, but if you search hard enough, you'll be able to find it. I mean, this was a snipe. This was an absolute snipe. Got the pass from Zibanejad and just found the back of the net. You know what it reminded me of? Remember when he scored in Game 4 against the Stars last year? Kind of his first, it was his second game back, but first goal since all the knee surgeries. It reminded me of that. Like, Landy's like, hey, I may be in my 30s, but I still got that in the tank. Absolute snipe job. Not all my goals are sort of ugly ones in front of the net.
Yeah, and it was a big goal for Sweden as well at that point because they were down 1-0. They were tied 2-2 at one point, so those early goals mattered. Obviously, they ended up breaking it a little more open towards the end of the game, but those early goals were very important for his country. So, like I said, just very happy for him, very happy that he's able to represent his country and make a real impact on the team, not just out there as a player coach. He's out there playing and scoring important goals.
Yeah, definitely, and you're right. They were massive favorites over Italy. They had all NHL players. Italy had 0 NHL players. And you looked up and it was 2-2 at one point. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Sweden, combined on their roster right now, has played 16,880 NHL games.
Okay.
Team Italy, combined roster, 0 NHL games.
And the shots were a massive disparity. They ended up with 60 shots on goal, which was an Olympic record. But it was funny to look up and go, oh, the shots are like 38-4, and yet the score is 2-2. So good for Landy, good for Sweden. All right, got to ask you, what are you doing? What are you doing? I know your shift doesn't start till 1:30. What are you doing at 8:40 tomorrow morning? I hope you're up making bacon and eggs because there's a really exciting game. It's Canada and Czechia. It's Nathan McKinnon, Devontaes, and Kel McCarr, of course, against Marty Necas. I know everyone's going to be locked into the semis and the gold medal game and maybe the bronze medal game, but this is a fun one for Avs fans tomorrow at 8:40 because you have 4 household names playing in this hockey game.
Oh, absolutely. I'll be up and watching. I mean, anytime you're able to get the treat of daytime sports that you want to watch, I always try to take advantage of that because obviously every night, once it hits 5 o'clock around here, you're going to have college basketball, NBA, NHL. But if you can get daytime sports on, count me in, and I might be placing a couple wagers on some Canadians to score some goals. So me and Zach were talking some rough drafts of what we were thinking, but I'll definitely be tuning in. And then we got the U.S. tomorrow in the middle of the day as well. So I'll be tuning into as many of either Canada or USA's game along the way. I'll try to tune into every game possible.
Yeah, definitely good call. The U.S. will make their tournament debut tomorrow afternoon as well. It's funny you say day hockey. It is day, but it's morning hockey.
Yeah,
baby.
morning, I guess is a better way of putting it.
Morning hockey. It's 8:40. I'm really excited for that game tomorrow. Obviously, got to see Lehkonen play today for Finland. Got to see Gabe play for Sweden. But Canada and the U.S., I mean, obviously the U.S. for patriotism and all that, and Brock Nelson. But Canada, man, McKinnon, Makar, Taves, taking on Natchez in their first group play game.
Do you have a rooting interest between Canada and America once it gets that far? Are you going to be like the traitor Zach By rooting for Serbia and Jokic over Team USA?
Dante. Unfortunately, we're out of time. No, I mean, in all seriousness, it's so tough. And we had debates about this with Jokic and Serbia and the U.S. I love Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar, but I think I'll be pulling for Team USA. All right, it was a lot of fun. For Dante, I'm Will. It's DST on the Fan.
Tune into The Rundown with Richie Carney every weekday at noon on YouTube, Facebook, or X. Presented in part by the Birdie Bar, Louisville's premier indoor